In a small town, nestled between rolling hills and busy streets, there was a diner that served as the heartbeat of the community. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, where laughter echoed off the walls, and where stories were shared over steaming cups of coffee and hearty meals. Among the waitstaff was a young black man named Malik, known not just for his impeccable service, but for the kindness he showed to everyone who walked through the door. For years, Malik had dedicated his life to making the diner a welcoming place. But it was his relationship with one particular customer that would forever change the course of his life. Every Thursday, at precisely noon, a disabled man named Mr. Thompson would shuffle into the diner, aided by a worn-out walker. The townspeople recognized him instantly. He was an older gentleman, with silver hair and a twinkle in his eye that hinted at a vibrant spirit beneath his frail exterior. Malik was assigned to his table from the very beginning, and it didn't take long for a special bond to form between them. While many saw Mr. Thompson merely as a regular customer, Malik quickly realized there was much more to him. Each week, they shared more than just polite conversation. They exchanged stories that revealed their hopes, dreams, and struggles. Mr. Thompson often spoke of his youth, sharing tales of adventures he'd had before life's trials had slowed him down. He would reminisce about the freedom of riding his bicycle through the countryside, the thrill of catching his first fish, and the day he fell in love. Malik listened intently, soaking up every word, and as their conversations unfolded, they began to touch on deeper themes of resilience, courage, and the importance of human connection. It was through these exchanges that Malik found himself reflecting on his own life, his aspirations, and the weight of societal expectations he carried on his shoulders. The diner was bustling with life servers, weaving between tables, customers chatting and laughing, the clatter of dishes providing a comforting backdrop. Yet, amidst the chaos, the bond between Malik and Mr. Thompson became a calm oasis, a moment of understanding and compassion that brightened their weeks. Their connection grew stronger with each passing Thursday, and both men began to look forward to their time together as if it were a lifeline. As months turned into years, their friendship deepened. Malik began to see Mr. Thompson not just as a customer, but as a mentor. He admired the way the older man embraced life, despite his limitations, how he managed to find joy in simple things. Mr. Thompson would often encourage Malik to chase his dreams, to pursue his passion for cooking beyond the diner's walls. Malik, however, was hesitant. The responsibilities of life weighed heavily on him, and he found comfort in the familiarity of his routine. Yet, with each encouraging word from Mr. Thompson, Malik felt a flicker of hope igniting within him, pushing him to consider possibilities he had long dismissed. But one Thursday, everything changed. As Malik prepared for his shift, he felt a sense of unease hanging in the air. It was the first time Mr. Thompson hadn't arrived on time. The diner buzzed with its usual energy, but Malik couldn't shake the worry that settled in his stomach. He glanced at the clock, counting down the minutes, hoping for the familiar sight of his friend's silver hair and bright smile. Just as the lunch rush began to dwindle, Malik decided to call Mr. Thompson's home, his heart pounding as the phone rang. When a woman's voice finally answered, Malik's anxiety heightened. She explained that Mr. Thompson had been hospitalized due to a sudden illness, and they didn't know when he would be able to return to the diner. The news hit Malik hard. He felt a mix of sadness and helplessness, as if a vital part of his weekly routine had been stripped away. Malik couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to do something, anything to help his friend. But what could he do? Days turned into weeks, and still, there was no sign of Mr. Thompson. Malik found himself distracted at work, his mind drifting to the old man's stories, his laughter, and the wisdom that had become such a cherished part of his life. It felt as if a piece of him was missing, and the diner's familiar hustle and bustle only amplified his loneliness. The community rallied around Mr. Thompson, offering support and sending well wishes, but Malik yearned for more. He wanted to visit him, to bring him comfort during this challenging time. Finally, on a quiet Sunday afternoon, Malik mustered the courage to visit the hospital. As he walked through the sterile halls, a sense of apprehension filled him. What if Mr. Thompson didn't recognize him? What if he was too weak to speak? But the thought of his friend alone in a hospital room was unbearable. Malik approached the room, heart racing, and knocked softly on the door. "Come in," a weak voice called from within. Malik opened the door to find Mr. Thompson lying in a hospital bed, frail and pale. But the moment their eyes met, something shifted in the air. A spark of recognition ignited, and the old man's face broke into a smile that lit up the room. "Malik, what a surprise," he exclaimed, his voice barely above a whisper, but filled with warmth. They spent hours together, talking and reminiscing about the good times they had shared in the diner. Malik brought up some of Mr. Thompson's favorite meals, and they laughed together as they reminisced about the little joys they had both experienced. The time passed quickly, filled with heartfelt conversations and shared memories. But as Malik prepared to leave, he could see the fatigue weighing heavily on Mr. Thompson. "Promise me you'll keep dreaming," Mr. Thompson said, grasping Malik's hand. "You have so much potential. Don't let fear hold you back." Malik nodded, feeling tears prick at his eyes. He didn't know how to express the impact Mr. Thompson had on his life, how those simple words resonated deeply within him. As he left the hospital, a sense of determination settled over him. He couldn't let fear dictate his choices any longer. However, just as hope began to rise, a shocking twist awaited Malik. A few days later, he received a call from the hospital. Mr. Thompson had taken a turn for the worse, and they wanted to inform him. Panic gripped Malik as he rushed back to the hospital, his heart pounding. He couldn't bear the thought of losing his friend without being there for him one last time. Arriving at the hospital, Malik was met with the somber atmosphere that filled the air. He hurried to Mr. Thompson's room, praying he wasn't too late. When he walked in, he saw Mr. Thompson lying still, surrounded by medical equipment, a fragile shell of the vibrant man he once was. Tears streamed down Malik's face as he approached the bed, grief overwhelming him. In that moment, Malik made a silent promise. He would carry forward the lessons Mr. Thompson had taught him, the importance of kindness, resilience, and chasing one's dreams. As he held his friend's hand, he whispered words of gratitude and love, hoping that somehow Mr. Thompson could hear him. But just when it seemed like Malik had lost everything, an unexpected twist unfolded. Mr. Thompson, with what little strength he had left, opened his eyes and smiled weakly. "You're going to do great things, Malik," he rasped. "You just wait and see." With those words, Malik felt a surge of emotion. Mr. Thompson's faith in him ignited a spark of determination. Little did he know, the gift he would receive, in return for all those years of service and friendship, was something he could never have anticipated. As he left the hospital that day, a new journey began, one that would change his life forever. With a heart full of hope and the weight of Mr. Thompson's encouragement guiding him, Malik stepped into the unknown. He was ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead, motivated by the bond they had forged over the years. The next chapter was waiting to unfold, and Malik knew it was going to be extraordinary. As the weeks rolled on, Malik found himself reflecting on his journey at the diner. Each day began with the familiar scent of freshly brewed coffee and the chatter of regular customers. Yet, without Mr. Thompson's presence, it felt like a piece of his heart was missing. He often caught himself glancing at the empty table in the corner, where Mr. Thompson used to sit, his mind drifting to their conversations filled with laughter and wisdom. Malik knew he had to channel his feelings into something constructive. Inspired by Mr. Thompson's encouragement, he began experimenting with new recipes at home, eager to explore his passion for cooking beyond the confines of the diner. He would spend hours poring over cookbooks and watching cooking shows, trying to recreate dishes that sparked joy in his memory. The kitchen became his sanctuary, a place where he could lose himself in the rhythm of chopping vegetables and simmering sauces. One Saturday evening, Malik decided to host a small dinner for a few close friends from the diner. He wanted to share his newfound excitement and test his culinary skills. He spent the entire day preparing, setting up his modest apartment, and selecting a playlist of soulful music that resonated with him. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, his friends started to arrive, bringing with them a sense of camaraderie and warmth. As they gathered around the dining table, Malik felt a sense of pride swell within him. The laughter and chatter filled the room, reminiscent of the diner's bustling atmosphere. He served each dish with care, explaining the inspirations behind them. His friends marveled at the flavors, expressing their delight with every bite. In that moment, Malik realized that he had found a way to keep Mr. Thompson's spirit alive through his cooking. The joy he felt was palpable, a reminder that every dish was a testament to their bond. But just as the evening reached its peak, Malik received a text that would change everything. It was from the diner owner, asking if he could come in the following day to discuss something important. A knot of anxiety twisted in Malik's stomach. Was it about Mr. Thompson? Or perhaps the owner had noticed Malik's passion for cooking and wanted to talk about a possible promotion. He couldn't shake off the feeling that something significant was on the horizon, and he was both excited and terrified at the thought. The next day, Malik arrived at the diner early, his heart racing. The familiar sounds of clinking dishes and the scent of bacon sizzling filled the air. He spotted the owner, Sarah, sitting at a booth, her brow furrowed in concentration as she reviewed some paperwork. Malik approached her, trying to gauge her mood. "Hey, Sarah? You wanted to see me?" he asked, attempting to keep his voice steady despite the nervous flutter in his stomach. She looked up and smiled warmly. "Yes, Malik. I wanted to talk to you about something that's been on my mind for a while." She paused, glancing around the diner to ensure they were alone. "You know how dedicated you've been to your work here. I've noticed how you've gone above and beyond for our customers, especially Mr. Thompson." Malik felt a mix of pride and concern at the mention of Mr. Thompson. "I just try to treat everyone with kindness. It's what he taught me." Sarah nodded, her expression growing serious. "That's exactly why I wanted to talk to you. Mr. Thompson reached out to me a few weeks ago before he got sick. He spoke highly of you and your passion for cooking. He believes you have a gift, Malik. He even suggested that I consider having you develop a special menu for the diner, something that reflects your creativity." Malik's heart raced at the thought. "You mean a special menu? For the diner?" "Yes," she replied. "I think it could bring a fresh energy to our offerings. I believe you can create something truly special that honors Mr. Thompson's memory while showcasing your talent. What do you think?" Malik felt a rush of excitement mixed with apprehension. The idea of creating a menu was a dream come true, yet the weight of the responsibility felt daunting. "I'd love to give it a shot. But what if it doesn't work out?" Sarah smiled reassuringly. "You won't know unless you try. I believe in you, and I know Mr. Thompson would be cheering you on from wherever he is." With newfound determination, Malik left the diner that day with a head full of ideas. He spent the next few weeks brainstorming, developing recipes, and experimenting in his kitchen. The process was exhilarating, yet it also served as a reminder of the bond he had formed with Mr. Thompson. Every dish he created carried a piece of their shared stories and experiences, fueling his passion even more. As the days turned into weeks, Malik began to notice a shift in the diner's atmosphere. He observed how the regulars would gather around the counter, excitedly discussing the latest news about Mr. Thompson's condition. Although he had been in and out of the hospital, they remained hopeful for his recovery. The sense of community surrounding Mr. Thompson's struggle was inspiring. It reminded Malik that kindness and compassion could flourish even in the face of adversity. However, Malik couldn't shake the nagging feeling that time was running out. As much as he wanted to create something incredible for the diner, he also longed to share it with Mr. Thompson. He decided he needed to visit him again, hoping to bring a taste of his creations to brighten the old man's spirits. One afternoon, with a small container of his latest dish, a creamy pasta infused with vibrant herbs, Malik made his way to the hospital. The familiar sense of antiseptic and sterile environments welcomed him as he navigated the halls. His heart raced as he approached Mr. Thompson's room, nervous yet hopeful. As he walked in, he found Mr. Thompson sitting up slightly in bed, a frail shadow of his former self. However, his eyes lit up when he saw Malik enter. "Malik, you came," he exclaimed, his voice weak but filled with joy. Malik beamed, holding out the container. "I brought you something special. I hope you're hungry." Mr. Thompson's eyes sparkled with curiosity as he opened the container, inhaling the aroma of the dish. "You've been cooking again, haven't you? That smells amazing." Malik grinned as he explained the inspiration behind the dish. They shared the meal together, and Malik felt a sense of warmth spreading through him as they reminisced about their time at the diner. Mr. Thompson's laughter filled the room, making it feel alive again, and for those fleeting moments, the worries of the world faded away. But as they finished eating, Mr. Thompson's expression grew serious. "Malik, I want to talk to you about something important," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "Of course, Mr. Thompson." "What is it?" Malik asked, suddenly aware of the gravity in the old man's tone. "I've been thinking about my life and the impact I've had on others," Mr. Thompson began, his gaze steady on Malik. "You know, I always believed in the power of kindness and how it can ripple through generations. I want you to carry that message forward. You have the ability to touch lives with your cooking and your heart." Malik nodded, feeling a lump form in his throat. "I want to make you proud. I've been working on a special menu for the diner, and I want to dedicate it to you." Tears glistened in Mr. Thompson's eyes as he reached out to grasp Malik's hand. "That's the spirit, my friend. Just remember, it's not just about the food, it's about the love and connection you create through it. Let your heart guide you." Their conversation lingered in the air long after Malik left the hospital. He couldn't shake the weight of Mr. Thompson's words, and as he walked home, he felt a newfound sense of purpose settling within him. He was determined to honor Mr. Thompson's legacy through his cooking, and the thought inspired him to push through the fear that had held him back for so long. Days turned into weeks, and Malik poured every ounce of himself into his creations. He sought inspiration from the stories they had shared, weaving them into dishes that embodied the spirit of resilience, joy, and community. He experimented with flavors, textures, and techniques, each recipe infused with love and the lessons he had learned from Mr. Thompson. Finally, the day arrived for Malik to unveil his special menu at the diner. As he stood in the kitchen, nerves fluttered in his stomach. The aroma of his dishes wafted through the air, filling the diner with anticipation. He had invited the regulars and the townspeople to come and experience his creations, hoping to share not just food, but also the essence of the bond he had with Mr. Thompson. As the first customers arrived, Malik felt a surge of excitement mixed with anxiety. He welcomed them with a warm smile, sharing stories behind each dish on the menu. The energy in the diner was electric, and for the first time in a long while, Malik felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. The response was overwhelming. Customers savored each bite, relishing the unique flavors and the heartfelt stories behind the dishes. The laughter and conversations echoed through the diner, creating a sense of unity and joy that Malik had always dreamed of. It felt as if the spirit of Mr. Thompson was present, guiding him and cheering him on. As the night unfolded, Malik took a moment to step back and reflect on the journey that had led him here. The challenges he had faced, the bond he had forged with Mr. Thompson, and the love he had poured into his cooking, all of it came together in this moment of triumph. He realized that this was just the beginning of his journey, and he was determined to continue honoring the lessons he had learned. But just as Malik allowed himself to bask in the success of the night, a figure entered the diner that made his heart drop. It was the local newspaper reporter, known for her sharp pen and keen eye for detail. She had come to cover the event, but Malik couldn't shake off the feeling that she was also there to scrutinize every detail. Her presence cast a shadow over his triumph, and Malik found himself battling with doubt. What if she didn't see the heart behind his dishes? What if she dismissed his efforts as mere attempts to ride the coattails of Mr. Thompson's legacy? He couldn't allow that to happen. With resolve, Malik approached the reporter, introducing himself and inviting her to sample his special dishes. He poured his heart into explaining each one, hoping to convey the essence of what he was trying to achieve. The tension in his chest tightened as she tasted each dish, her expression inscrutable. After what felt like an eternity, she set down her fork, a contemplative look crossing her face. "You've certainly got something here, Malik, but I can't help but wonder what's next for you. What do you hope to achieve beyond this menu?" Her question hit Malik like a wave, and for a moment he struggled to find the words. He had been so focused on the present, on honoring Mr. Thompson's memory, that he hadn't fully considered what the future held. As he opened his mouth to respond, he felt a sense of clarity wash over him. "I want to create a space where people can come together, share stories, and connect through food. I want to honor the legacy of kindness and love that Mr. Thompson instilled in me," Malik replied, his voice steady and resolute. "This menu is just the beginning. I hope to expand my offerings, to share my passion with even more people. I want to inspire others to find joy in cooking, and to remind them of the connections that can be forged over a meal." The reporter nodded, her expression softening as she scribbled notes. Malik felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. Perhaps she would understand the heart behind his efforts. Perhaps his words would resonate with her readers. As the night drew to a close, Malik received a wave of compliments from the customers, their enthusiasm filling him with warmth. He felt as though he had honored Mr. Thompson's legacy in the best way he could. Yet, the uncertainty of what lay ahead lingered in his mind like a cloud. Weeks passed, and the diner continued to thrive with Malik's special menu. The community rallied around him, embracing his creations with open arms. Yet, as the buzz grew, so did the whispers of doubt. Malik couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, judged not only by the customers, but also by the world outside the diner. Then one evening, just as Malik was closing up, he received a call from Sarah. Her voice trembled on the other end, and Malik's heart raced with concern. "Malik, we need to talk. It's about Mr. Thompson." Panic washed over him as he listened to her voice. He could hear the urgency in her tone, and dread began to settle in his stomach. He hurried to meet her at the diner, his mind racing with thoughts of what could have happened. When he arrived, he found Sarah sitting at the same booth where they had discussed his special menu. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on her shoulders. "I don't know how to say this," she began, her voice breaking slightly. "Mr. Thompson, he passed away this morning." Malik felt the world around him shatter. The news hit him like a punch to the gut, and he struggled to breathe as grief washed over him. Memories of their conversations, their laughter, and the bond they had shared flooded his mind. "I'm so sorry, Malik," Sarah continued, her eyes glistening with tears. "I know how much he meant to you." Malik nodded, feeling a lump form in his throat. He had lost a mentor, a friend, and a guiding light. "I wanted to share the menu with him. I wanted him to see what I've been doing." Sarah reached across the table, squeezing his hand. "He knew, Malik. He was proud of you. I spoke with him a few days ago, and he said he was looking forward to seeing you again. You've done amazing things here." But the words offered little comfort as Malik grappled with the reality of his loss. He felt a deep ache in his heart, a sense of emptiness that echoed in the diner. Mr. Thompson had been a pillar of strength in his life, and now that pillar was gone. In the days that followed, Malik poured his grief into his cooking. He spent hours in the kitchen, creating dishes that honored Mr. Thompson's memory. He used ingredients that reminded him of their shared meals, infusing each dish with love and nostalgia. The diner continued to thrive, but Malik felt a profound sense of emptiness within him. He grappled with feelings of uncertainty about the future. Would he be able to carry on without Mr. Thompson's guidance? Would his cooking still resonate without the man who had believed in him? As the weeks turned into months, Malik tried to honor Mr. Thompson's legacy in every way he could. He introduced a dish called Mr. Thompson's Special, a tribute to the man who had inspired him to follow his passion. The diner became a place of remembrance, where stories of Mr. Thompson were shared among customers, creating a sense of community that echoed his spirit. However, the whispers of doubt continued to linger. Malik found himself questioning whether he could truly live up to the expectations that came with his newfound success. He felt the weight of the community's hopes resting on his shoulders, and the fear of failure loomed over him like a storm cloud. Then one day, as Malik was preparing for the dinner rush, he received a letter in the mail. It was from the local newspaper, a response to the article written by the reporter who had visited the diner on the night of his special menu launch. As he opened the envelope, his heart raced with anticipation. The article was glowing, praising Malik's creativity and the warmth of the diner. But just as he finished reading, he noticed a small note tucked inside. It was from the reporter, expressing her admiration for his work and inviting him to participate in a local food festival. Malik's heart leaped at the opportunity. The festival would allow him to showcase his cooking on a larger scale, connecting with even more people and sharing the love that had fueled his passion. It felt like a sign from the universe, a chance to honor Mr. Thompson's legacy in a way that he had never imagined. With renewed determination, Malik accepted the invitation and began preparing for the festival. He spent long hours refining his recipes, testing new flavors, and envisioning how he wanted to present his dishes. The festival became a beacon of hope, a chance for him to step out of the shadows of self-doubt and into the light of possibility. As the day of the festival approached, excitement coursed through him. He envisioned the crowd, eager to taste his creations and share in the joy of good food. But with the excitement came the weight of anxiety. What if it didn't go as planned? What if he let everyone down? Despite the fears swirling in his mind, Malik focused on the task at hand. He immersed himself in the process, reminding himself of Mr. Thompson's teachings. "Let your heart guide you," he whispered to himself, as he chopped vegetables and marinated proteins. Finally, the day of the festival arrived. Malik stood behind his booth, surrounded by vibrant colors, enticing aromas, and a buzz of excitement. The energy in the air was infectious, and he felt a sense of camaraderie with the other vendors. As customers began to flock to his booth, he welcomed them with a warm smile, eager to share the story behind each dish. With every bite they took, he felt a piece of himself emerging from the shadows. The laughter, the joy, and the connections were reminiscent of the experiences he had shared with Mr. Thompson. Just as Malik began to lose himself in the moment, a figure caught his eye. It was the local reporter, observing him from a distance, her notebook poised to capture every detail. Malik felt a jolt of nerves course through him. He remembered her sharp pen and wondered what she would write about him this time. But instead of shrinking away, he took a deep breath and focused on the people in front of him, the customers who had come to share in this celebration of food and community. Each interaction became a reminder of why he had embarked on this journey in the first place. As the festival continued, Malik found himself immersed in conversations, laughter, and shared stories. He felt the spirit of Mr. Thompson with him, guiding him through the moments of joy and connection. It was a beautiful celebration of life, and for the first time in months, Malik felt a sense of peace, settle within him. The day flew by in a blur of flavors and smiles. And as the sun began to set, Malik stood back and surveyed the scene. The crowd had embraced his creations, and the sense of community filled his heart with warmth. As the festival wound down, the local reporter approached him. "Malik, I have to say, you've done an incredible job today. The energy around your booth was palpable, and your dishes truly reflect your passion." He felt a sense of relief wash over him. "Thank you. It means a lot to hear that. Can I get a few quotes from you for the article?" she asked, her notepad ready. Malik nodded, eager to share his story. As he spoke about his journey, his hopes for the future, and the legacy of Mr. Thompson, he felt a weight lift from his shoulders. This was his chance to connect with the world beyond the diner, to inspire others through his passion for cooking. Just as he was about to finish, he noticed a group of familiar faces in the crowd. Sarah, his friend from the diner, along with a few regular customers. Their smiles filled him with a sense of belonging, and he knew that he was not alone in this journey. As the reporter concluded the interview, she smiled warmly. "I can't wait to share your story with our readers. You're doing something truly special here, Malik." With a renewed sense of purpose, Malik returned to the diner the following day, ready to embrace whatever came next. He knew that the path ahead would be filled with challenges, but he felt a sense of strength within him. Little did he know, however, that just as he was beginning to find his footing, a storm was brewing on the horizon. As the news of his success spread, so did the whispers of jealousy and rivalry among other local chefs. Malik would soon face obstacles he hadn't anticipated, and the strength of his character would be put to the ultimate test. In the coming days, he began to notice subtle changes in the atmosphere of the diner. There were murmurs among the staff, glances exchanged when he walked by. It was as if a current of unease had taken hold, and Malik couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It wasn't long before he received an anonymous letter, warning him to watch his back. The note was vague but laden with implications, fueling his growing paranoia. Who could be behind it? Was it a jealous competitor trying to undermine his success? Malik felt a knot of fear tighten in his stomach. He had poured his heart and soul into the diner, and the thought of losing everything was unbearable. With each passing day, the tension in the diner grew, and Malik became increasingly aware of the shadows lurking at the edges of his newfound success. Determined to confront the growing animosity, Malik began to reach out to his staff, fostering an environment of open communication and support. He organized team meetings, encouraging them to share their ideas and collaborate on new dishes. He wanted to ensure that everyone felt valued and appreciated, but the whispers continued. As the weeks went by, the pressure mounted. Rumors circulated that another chef was planning to open a competing restaurant just down the street, one that would directly rival Malik's diner. The thought sent a wave of anxiety through him, and he felt as if he was standing on the edge of a precipice, ready to fall. One evening, as Malik prepared for the dinner rush, he overheard a conversation between two of his staff members. They were discussing the new restaurant and the chef behind it, an accomplished culinary artist, known for their innovative techniques and cutting-edge flavors. Malik's heart sank as he recognized the name. It was someone he had admired from afar, a chef who had made a name for themselves in the culinary world. With the competition looming on the horizon, Malik felt a surge of determination. He couldn't allow fear to dictate his actions. Instead, he decided to embrace the challenge, vowing to stay true to his vision while finding inspiration in the very competition that threatened to unseat him. He pored over his recipes, experimenting with new flavors and techniques, determined to keep his offerings fresh and exciting. Each dish became a testament to his passion, a way to connect with his customers and keep them coming back for more. As the grand opening of the rival restaurant drew near, Malik felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. Would his loyal customers stay? Would the diner survive the storm? The questions swirled in his mind like a whirlwind, but he pushed them aside, focusing on the work that lay ahead. On the day of the rival restaurant's opening, Malik decided to take a proactive approach. Instead of cowering in fear, he sent a message to his customers through social media, inviting them to join him at the diner for a special promotion. He wanted to show them that he valued their loyalty and that the diner was a place where they could feel at home. The response was overwhelming. The community rallied around him, and the diner was bustling with energy. As customers filled the seats, Malik felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was his space, and he wasn't going to let anyone take it from him. Yet, as the night wore on, Malik couldn't shake the feeling of unease. He noticed a few unfamiliar faces in the crowd, observing him with intent. Were they from the rival restaurant? Were they there to gather intel? The thought sent a shiver down his spine. In the midst of the chaos, one of his regular customers approached him with a concerned look. "Malik, have you heard anything about the new place? There are rumors flying around that they're planning something big." Malik felt his heart race as he listened. He had been so focused on his own efforts that he hadn't considered the possibility of a direct attack. He needed to stay vigilant, but he also knew that he couldn't let fear consume him. As days turned into weeks, the tension between two establishments became palpable. The rivalry fueled local gossip, and Malik found himself caught in a web of speculation. Would he be able to withstand the pressure, or would he crumble under the weight of the competition? Then, just as Malik thought things couldn't get more complicated, he received another letter. This one was different, more threatening, more direct. The anonymous sender warned him to shut down his diner or face the consequences. Malik felt a chill run down his spine as he read the words. Who would go to such lengths? Determined to protect what he had built, Malik sought help from Sarah and his loyal staff. Together, they brainstormed ways to combat the negativity surrounding them. They devised a plan to enhance their marketing efforts, emphasizing the sense of community and warmth that the diner embodied. As the weeks went by, tension in air thickened. Malik found himself constantly on edge, second-guessing every decision and scrutinizing every interaction. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, that someone was lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. In the midst of the chaos, Malik stumbled upon a surprising ally, a fellow chef from the rival restaurant who had reached out to him in an unexpected gesture of goodwill. They had shared their experiences and frustrations, and Malik realized that the culinary world was not as cutthroat as he had once believed. Encouraged by this new friendship, Malik found the courage to host a collaborative event between the two restaurants, showcasing their unique dishes side by side. It was a bold move, one that could either unite the community or create further division. But Malik was ready to take the leap. As the day of the event approached, excitement buzzed in the air. Both chefs worked tirelessly to prepare their dishes, and the community began to rally around the idea. But just as things seemed to be falling into place, another anonymous letter arrived, this time threatening to expose a secret that could ruin Malik's reputation. Fear surged through him. What could they possibly have on him? He felt as if he was being pulled into a dark vortex, and the sense of uncertainty loomed large. But he refused to back down. With his newfound determination, he chose to face the storm head-on. As the event began, Malik's heart raced with anticipation. The energy in the air was electric, and as customers began to gather, he felt a sense of hope wash over him. This was a chance to not only showcase his culinary skills, but to also strengthen the bonds of the community. As the crowd filled the space, Malik took a moment to reflect on how far he had come. The diner had transformed into a hub of connection and warmth, a place where stories were shared and friendships were forged. He had fought to create something meaningful, and in that moment, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. But as the evening unfolded, the atmosphere shifted. Malik couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. He noticed a figure in the crowd, someone watching him with a knowing gaze. It sent a chill down his spine, and he felt the weight of their scrutiny like a shadow looming over him. Then, as the night reached its peak, the moment came that would change everything. A sudden commotion erupted, and Malik turned to find chaos breaking out in the crowd. People were shouting, and he could feel the tension rising like a tide. In the midst of the turmoil, a familiar voice called out, cutting through the noise. "Malik, you need to come here." It was Sarah, urgency lacing her words. He hurried to her side, heart racing as she pointed toward the back of the restaurant. A small group had gathered, and as Malik pushed through, he froze in disbelief. There, in the center of the chaos, was the source of his worst fears. It was a rival chef, standing with a smug expression, a camera in hand, documenting every moment of the upheaval. "You're done, Malik," the rival chef shouted, a triumphant grin plastered across their face. "This is your downfall." Malik's heart sank as he realized the threat had come to fruition. The secret they had been threatening to expose was no longer a hidden shadow. It was now out in the open, and he felt the weight of the community's expectations crash down upon him. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, Malik stepped forward, a fire igniting within him. "You think you can tear me down?" he shouted back, his voice strong despite the uncertainty swirling in his chest. "This diner is more than just a restaurant. It's a home for this community." As the crowd watched, silence fell momentarily. Malik could see the uncertainty in the eyes of the onlookers, and he knew that this was his moment to reclaim his narrative. "I've poured my heart into this place, and I won't let anyone take that away from me." The rival chef scoffed, but Malik could see a flicker of doubt crossing their face. In that instant, he decided to turn the situation to his advantage. You want a competition? Let's do it right here and now. The challenge hung in the air, electric with possibility. Malik's heart raced as he felt the energy of the crowd shift in his favor. People began to cheer, rallying behind him, and he could feel the tides turning. Let's show everyone what true culinary passion looks like, Malik declared, determination etched on his face. Not through deceit, but through the love of cooking. The rival chef hesitated, the facade of confidence wavering. As the cheers of support grew louder, Malik felt the strength of the community solidify behind him. This was his moment to rise above the chaos, to show that true success is built on integrity and passion. In that instant, he understood that the journey he had embarked upon was not just about cooking, it was about connection, resilience, and the power of community. He could no longer let fear dictate his path. The crowd surged forward, excitement palpable, as they prepared for an impromptu cook-off. As the two chefs set up their stations, Malik felt a sense of camaraderie with his rival. They were both passionate about their craft, and he realized that in facing this challenge, he could find inspiration rather than intimidation. As the competition unfolded, the aroma of their dishes filled the air, drawing in onlookers and inviting them to witness the magic of culinary creativity. In that moment, Malik felt liberated. He was no longer just defending his diner. He was celebrating the art of cooking and the joy it brought to his community. As the cook-off reached its climax, the crowd erupted into applause, cheering for both chefs as they showcased their skills. Malik had found his voice, and it resonated with the love and support of those around him. When the dust settled and the competition came to an end, Malik turned to the crowd, gratitude filling his heart. "Thank you all for standing by me," he said, emotion thick in his voice. "Together, we've proven that we are stronger than any challenge that comes our way." The rival chef nodded in acknowledgement, and for the first time, Malik saw respect in their eyes. It was a turning point, a moment where competition transformed into collaboration, and Malik knew that the path ahead would be brighter than ever. As the night came to a close, Malik felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. The diner was not just a place to eat, it was a home, a sanctuary where stories were shared and bonds were formed. The storm had passed, and in its wake, Malik stood stronger than ever, ready to embrace whatever came next with open arms. As the crowd began to disperse, buzzing with excitement from the unexpected cook-off, Malik felt a surge of triumph. He had not only defended his diner, but also fostered a sense of community that was palpable in the air. Yet, just as he started to revel in his victory, an uneasy feeling lingered in the pit of his stomach. Something felt off, and he couldn't shake the thought that the rivalry with the other chef was far from over. The following day, Malik opened the diner with renewed energy, determined to keep the momentum going. He had drawn inspiration from the cook-off, and his kitchen was alive with new dishes and flavors. Regulars returned, and new faces came through the door, curious about the buzz surrounding his diner. But in the back of his mind, he sensed an impending storm. As he was plating a beautiful seared salmon, his phone buzzed on the counter. It was a text from Sarah, and her tone was frantic. "Malik, can you meet me at the diner? I found something you need to see." Concern creased his brow as he wiped his hands and headed to the back of the diner, where Sarah was waiting, her face pale. "What's going on?" he asked, a knot forming in his stomach. "I was cleaning up and found this," she said, holding out an envelope that looked eerily familiar. Malik's heart dropped as he recognized the handwriting. It was the same as the anonymous letters he had received. He took the envelope, his fingers trembling slightly, and opened it. Inside was a single piece of paper, and his breath hitched as he read the words, "This is just the beginning. You think you can take the culinary crown in this town? I have eyes everywhere. Watch your back." The words sent chills down his spine. Malik felt the weight of a new reality crashing down on him. This wasn't just about competition, it was a threat to his very existence. The exhilaration of the cook-off faded, replaced by a sinking dread that tightened its grip on him. "Who do you think it is?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with concern. "I don't know, but it feels like they're not just trying to take my customers. They're trying to destroy everything I've built," Malik replied, his mind racing. "I can't let fear control me again. I need to figure out who's behind this before it goes too far." Over the next few days, Malik became a detective in his own right, investigating the source of the threats while trying to maintain the diner's success. He spoke with customers, hoping to glean information, but each conversation left him more unsettled. Whispers of the rival chef's underhanded tactics reached him, tales of sabotage and deceit that painted a target on his back. One evening, while closing up, Malik overheard two patrons at a nearby table discussing a new culinary contest that was set to take place in the city, one with a grand prize that would solidify the winner's reputation and place in the culinary scene. Malik listened intently as they mentioned how the rival chef was planning a secret strategy to ensure their victory. The stakes were rising, and Malik felt an urgency to act. Determined to protect his diner, he decided to enter the contest, but with a twist. Instead of going it alone, he reached out to local chefs, including his rival, to collaborate on a joint entry. It was a bold move, but he believed that by fostering unity, they could counteract the sabotage lurking in the shadows. Yet, as Malik began to plan the collaborative effort, he received another ominous letter, this time with a photo clipped inside. It was a picture of Dinah, taken from a distance, with shadows lurking outside. "You're running out of time, Malik," it read. "Your little collaboration will only lead to your demise." Panic surged within him. The threats were escalating, and the stakes had never been higher. Malik gathered his stuff, determined to share his plan and ensure their safety. As he spoke, he could see the concern etched on their faces. "We're in this together," he reassured them. "We won't let fear dictate our path. We'll confront this challenge head-on." As the day of the contest approached, the tension reached a fever pitch. Malik found himself caught between excitement for the opportunity and dread over the looming threats. Each time the doorbell chimed, he felt a rush of anxiety, half expecting someone to walk in with ill intentions. Finally, the day of the contest arrived, and Malik's heart raced with anticipation. The venue buzzed with chefs and food lovers alike, and the energy in the air was electric. Malik and his team had worked tirelessly on their dishes, pouring their hearts into every bite. But as they set up their station, a familiar face appeared, his rival chef, smirking with confidence. "Ready to lose again, Malik?" The rival teased, but this time, Malik wasn't intimidated. He smiled back, determination burning in his chest. But as the competition began, Malik couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He caught glimpses of shadowy figures at the edges of the venue, and paranoia crept in like an unwelcome guest. Just as he was about to plate his signature dish, a commotion erupted across the hall. A loud crash reverberated through the venue, and Malik's heart raced as he turned to see chaos unfolding. Tables were overturned, and a crowd had gathered, voices raised in alarm. Malik pushed through the throng, adrenaline coursing through his veins, desperate to uncover the cause of the turmoil. And then he saw it, a figure in a dark hoodie, darting away from the scene, clutching something tightly. Without thinking, Malik bolted after them, determination propelling him forward. This was the moment he had been waiting for, a chance to confront the shadow lurking in his life and unravel the web of deceit, threatening to tear apart everything he held dear. As he chased the figure through the crowd, the stakes reached an all-time high. With each step, Malik felt the weight of his dreams on his shoulders, pushing him to discover the truth behind the threats and to protect the diner he had fought so hard to build. In that moment, he knew there was no turning back. The final showdown was just around the corner, and he was ready to face whatever awaited him in the shadows. Malik pushed through the throng of people, his heart pounding in his chest as he chased the hooded figure. The chaos of the competition faded into the background, replaced by a singular focus on uncovering the truth behind the threats. As he neared the exit, he caught sight of the figure slipping through a side door, and he quickened his pace, determined not to let them escape. Bursting through the door, Malik found himself in a dimly lit alley. The figure glanced back, and for a split second, Malik caught a glimpse of their face. It was a face he recognized, a former employee of the diner, someone who had left under difficult circumstances. "Jordan?" Malik called out, confusion clouding his thoughts. "Is that you?" Jordan stopped, and the tension in the air shifted. "What do you want, Malik?" Their voice was laced with bitterness. "You think you can just forget how you treated me?" Malik felt a mix of emotions swirling inside him. "I didn't forget. I was trying to help you, but you made your choices. This isn't about that, though. You've been sending me threats, sabotaging my diner." "Why?" The tension hung thick between them, and Jordan's expression softened. "If only for a moment. You don't understand what it's like to be on the other side. You took my job, my dreams, and left me with nothing. Watching you succeed, while I struggled, it hurt more than you know." Realization hit Malik like a wave. He hadn't considered the impact his decisions had on those around him, especially someone like Jordan, who had always been passionate about cooking but felt overshadowed by Malik's rising star. I didn't mean for it to come to this. I just wanted to create a place for everyone to thrive, not tear anyone down. You could have talked to me. We could have worked together. Jordan's facade cracked slightly, revealing vulnerability beneath the anger. I didn't think you'd understand. You were always the golden boy, and I was just nothing. As they spoke, the tension in the air began to shift. Malik realized that Jordan's actions were rooted in pain and resentment, not just a desire to see him fail. Look, I know I can't change the past, but I want to make it right. This competition is about celebrating our craft, not tearing each other apart. We can both shine if we stop fighting. Jordan hesitated, the shadows of bitterness fading from their eyes. You think we can really work together? After everything? Malik nodded, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. I believe we can. Let's show everyone what collaboration looks like, not competition. In that moment, the animosity between them began to dissolve. Just as they reached a fragile truce, the distant sound of applause echoed from the competition venue, reminding them of the stakes still at hand. We need to get back, Malik urged. Let's put our differences aside and make something great together. They sprinted back toward the main hall, hearts racing not just from adrenaline, but from the thrill of newfound possibilities. When they arrived, the atmosphere was electric with excitement. Malik and Jordan quickly coordinated, combining their culinary talents to create a dish that embodied their shared journey. As they worked side by side, the camaraderie grew. With each ingredient they added, they transformed not just the dish, but their relationship, weaving a story of redemption and understanding through every chop, sort, and plating. The final dish, a vibrant fusion of flavors and textures, captured the essence of both their journeys. When the time came for judging, Malik and Jordan stood side by side, the weight of competition replaced by the joy of collaboration. The judges, intrigued by the unexpected partnership, tasted the dish and their eyes lit up with delight. This is extraordinary, one judge remarked, clearly impressed. The harmony of flavors is palpable, and the story behind it makes it even more special. As the results were announced, Malik felt a mixture of anticipation and fear. But this time, it didn't matter who won. They had already achieved something greater than any trophy could represent. When the judges declared Malik and Jordan as co-winners, a surge of joy washed over them. They had turned their rivalry into a celebration, and in doing so, they had found healing. Just as they basked in their victory, a familiar voice cut through the celebration. It was the owner of a renowned culinary magazine, drawn in by the buzz surrounding their dish. I've never seen a collaboration quite like this. I'd like to feature both of you in our next issue. Let's talk about your journey and how you turned a rivalry into a partnership. Malik and Jordan exchanged astonished glances, the magnitude of what they had accomplished beginning to sink in. They were no longer just competitors. They were now partners in a culinary adventure that would reach far beyond the confines of the diner. As the crowd cheered and celebrated their victory, Malik couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them here. The threats, the chaos, the rivalry, all of it had led to a deeper understanding of what it meant to be part of a community. They had transformed fear into friendship, turning what could have been a tragic ending into a new beginning. But just as the festivities continued, Malik felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to see an unfamiliar face, a figure from the shadows he had seen before. Congratulations, the stranger said with a sly smile. You think this is over? This is just the beginning. I have plans for both of you, and they're much bigger than a cooking contest. Malik's heart sank as the reality hit him. The journey was far from over. This was a new chapter, filled with unexpected challenges, but this time, he wouldn't face them alone. With Jordan by his side, and a newfound strength forged in adversity, Malik felt ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, even if the storm was just beginning to brew. The air buzzed with excitement as the celebration continued, but Malik couldn't shake the ominous feeling that had settled in his chest. Who was that stranger? What did they mean by bigger plans? As the joyful cheers surrounded him, Malik found his thoughts spiraling. He felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to find Jordan, who seemed to share in his unease. Did you see that person? Malik asked, his voice low. What do you think they meant? Jordan glanced around, taking in the crowd of well-wishers. I don't know, but we should stay alert. We just came through a lot, and it seems like someone's still out to get us. The two friends agreed to keep their guard up as the festivities carried on. They took turns sharing their vision for the future, brainstorming ideas about the diner, and how they could turn it into a place that represented unity and creativity. The diner had always been a symbol of hope for Malik, and now with Jordan on his side, he felt they could elevate it to new heights. As they discussed their plans, Malik's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out and saw a text from an unknown number. "We're watching you. Don't think you're safe just because you won a contest." Malik's stomach dropped. This was no coincidence. Someone was out to undermine them, and they weren't going to let up. He showed message to Jordan, who frowned deeply. "This isn't just about the competition anymore. This is personal. We need to figure out who's behind this and why they're targeting us." Their moment of joy was interrupted when the owner of the culinary magazine approached them. "I'm so impressed with what you two created together," she said. "I want to feature you in an article that highlights your journey, your triumph over adversity. But I need to ask, do you feel safe? I've heard whispers about tensions in industry lately." Malik and Jordan exchanged glances, a sense of urgency bubbling between them. "We're working through some issues," Malik replied cautiously. "But we're committed to making our diner a space where everyone is welcome. That's our focus right now." As the magazine owner nodded, Malik realized that their story could inspire others. They had already turned their rivalry into collaboration, and if they could share that journey with the world, perhaps it would spark something greater. With renewed determination, they agreed to the magazine feature, setting aside their fears for the moment. "Let's make this article a powerful message about community and resilience," Jordan said, a fire igniting in his eyes. Days turned into weeks as they prepared for the article. They wanted to present not just their triumph, but also the importance of compassion, understanding, and working together in the face of adversity. Yet, as they continued to focus on their diner and their newfound partnership, the threats persisted. One evening, as they were closing up the diner, they discovered the front window smashed and the words "You're not welcome here" spray-painted across the wall. The vandalism hit them hard, a tangible reminder of the hostility lurking just beneath the surface. Malik felt anger bubble within him, but Jordan placed a calming hand on his shoulder. "This is just a setback. We can't let it define us." They reported the incident to the police, but deep down, Malik knew that he had to take matters into his own hands. They organized a community event to raise awareness about the importance of acceptance and togetherness, inviting people from all walks of life to share their experiences. The night of the event arrived, and the diner was packed. There were stories of love, resilience, and overcoming hardship. Malik and Jordan took the stage, their hearts racing as they shared their own journey from rivalry to collaboration. And now to a mission for unity. The audience was captivated, many people nodding along, tears in their eyes. It was a powerful reminder that, despite their differences, everyone could come together to create something beautiful. But just as they were finishing their speech, a commotion erupted at the back of the diner. Malik turned to see the stranger from the competition storming in, flanked by a group of aggressive-looking individuals. "You think you can just take over?" the stranger shouted, eyes blazing with fury. "This is our turf." The room fell silent, all eyes turning to Malik and Jordan. The tension was palpable as the stranger approached the stage, their intentions unclear. Malik stepped forward, heart racing, determined to stand his ground. "This is a place for everyone. We won't let you intimidate us. You think you're so special now, don't you?" The stranger spat. "I won't let you ruin everything we've built. This isn't over." The stranger's words echoed in Malik's mind, igniting a fierce resolve within him. He glanced at Jordan, who nodded in silent support. "If you want to take us down, you'll have to do it in front of everyone. We're not afraid of you." The confrontation escalated, but just as tensions reached their peak, members of the community stepped forward. "We're with Malik and Jordan." Someone shouted. "They've shown us what it means to work together." One by one, people stood in solidarity, forming a wall of support. The stranger and their group began to back down, realizing that they were outnumbered. Malik felt a swell of pride and gratitude as the community rallied around them, reinforcing the very message they had been striving to promote. With the stranger's defeat, Malik and Jordan's bond grew even stronger. They had stood up against adversity, and their community had proven that love and unity would always prevail over hatred and division. As the crowd erupted into applause, Malik and Jordan exchanged a knowing glance, their earlier fears transformed into a sense of purpose. In the weeks that followed, the diner became a hub for community events, each gathering celebrating the rich tapestry of cultures and experiences that filled their city. They collaborated with local artists, musicians, and chefs to create a series of themed nights that honored diversity. People came together to share stories and laughter, bridging gaps that once seemed unbridgeable. The magazine article came out, capturing their journey in a way that resonated with readers across the country. They received messages of encouragement and support from strangers who found inspiration in their story. Malik and Jordan realized they weren't just building a diner, they were creating a movement. But even amidst the joy and success, they couldn't shake the feeling that the threat still loomed in the background. The stranger had retreated, but Malik knew they wouldn't give up easily. They decided to work with local law enforcement to establish a safety plan, ensuring that their community would remain protected. One evening, after a long day at the diner, Malik found himself alone, reflecting on how far they had come. The soft glow of the lights cast a warm ambience, reminding him of the love and support that surrounded them. Just then, Jordan entered, holding a small package. "What's that?" Malik asked, curiosity piqued. "I found it outside the diner earlier," Jordan said, a hint of trepidation in his voice. "I thought we should see what's inside." As they carefully opened the package, they discovered a note, along with a beautifully crafted chef's knife. The note read, "Keep cooking with love. You're doing great things." It was signed anonymously, leaving them both stunned. Malik's heart swelled with hope. "This is a sign, Jordan. We're on the right path. We're making a difference." Just then, their phones buzzed simultaneously, and they exchanged puzzled looks. As they checked their messages, their expressions shifted from confusion to realization. It was a group message from the community members who had rallied around them, asking for a meeting. They wanted to discuss a new initiative, one that would create a safe haven for anyone facing discrimination or hostility. With their hearts racing, Malik and Jordan rushed to the meeting, excited to see their community coming together once again. As they arrived, they were met with a room full of familiar faces, all passionate about creating a change. The discussions flowed easily, each person sharing their ideas and experiences. The meeting sparked something deep within Malik. He realized that the threats they faced were not just personal. They were a reflection of the struggles many in their community encountered. He felt compelled to use their diner as a platform for advocacy, transforming it into a space where everyone felt safe and valued. As the project took shape, Malik and Jordan worked tirelessly to implement their vision. They created programs to educate the community on diversity and inclusion, organized events that celebrated different cultures, and fostered an environment of empathy and understanding. They invited local leaders and activists to share their insights, amplifying the voices of those who had been silenced for too long. Their diner quickly became more than just a restaurant. It was a sanctuary where people could come together to connect, learn, and grow. They saw lives changing before their eyes, and Malik knew they had found their true purpose. They were no longer just serving food, they were feeding the soul of the community. As the months went by, the success of their initiative caught the attention of local media, and soon, they were featured in news segments and articles, celebrating their impact. Malik and Jordan became symbols of hope, showing that collaboration could conquer division, and that love could thrive even in the face of adversity. But just as their success was reaching new heights, they received another ominous message. This time, it was a photo of their diner with a new threat. "We'll take what's ours back." The sense of unease returned, but Malik and Jordan knew they couldn't let fear dictate their actions. They called an emergency meeting with their community, and together, they devised a plan to strengthen their security and ensure the diner remained a safe space for everyone. They decided to hold a town hall meeting, inviting local officials to discuss the issues of safety and inclusivity in their area. It was time to take a stand against those who sought to instill fear. The town hall meeting was a success, drawing in a large crowd, eager to address the challenges they faced. Malik and Jordan spoke passionately about their vision, urging the community to unite against hatred and discrimination. They encouraged everyone to share their experiences and work together to create a safer environment for all. As they left the meeting, Malik felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced adversity, but they had also found strength in their community. They knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but they were determined to continue their fight for love and acceptance. Weeks later, as they prepared for a special event celebrating the diner's anniversary, the atmosphere was filled with anticipation. They had invited members of the community to share their stories, turning the evening into a powerful celebration of resilience. The diner was alive with laughter, music, and joy. As the night unfolded, Malik and Jordan took a moment to step outside, soaking in the vibrant energy of their surroundings. They looked at each other, the weight of their journey evident in their eyes. "We've come so far," Malik said softly. "I never imagined our rivalry would lead us here."